Hey, howdy, hi.
I'm Danielle.
And I'm Nye.
And this is
My Point Is. Yeah.
We're doing our best today.
We're trying our best today. It's been a rough one. Although it has, we've been doing good today.
Yeah, we've technically been doing good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true, but it doesn't feel like it.
It does not. No.
I'm tired.
I don't know. It's just one of those days. I don't know. I'm really tired.
I feel like poop.
Cock-a-doo-doo.
Yeah.
We need to take that out.
No, we don't, because that's really how I feel. But technically we've been doing good today. We got some things done. We did our 9-to-5 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Got it done.
Got it done.
You helped my aunt with her resume. Good things happening.
Yeah.
But
I feel like maybe there was I know for me when my sister called today, when my sibling called today, I had a bit of an energy drain because it was kind of the same conversation about my top surgery, which I'm getting top surgery. Woo! Of interrogation about it instead of just support. So I feel like that was a bit of a drain. And then I was just moping through my work.
Yeah. I saw your whole face slumped after that call. And that was I don't know. That sucks. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but that does suck. Especially because, I don't know how much you want to say about it, but just especially, given why you're being interrogated and not being kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind sharing it. Everyone, or a lot of people in my life think I'm having some sort of episode, which is why I'm suddenly trans. But the thing they don't know is I was always trans. Suddenly. They're just now knowing about it.
They're just having to get on board because for them, the top surgery is the point of no return of oh, wait, now this is real.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been real.
Yeah, it's been real. But the visible part to them is really stressing them out. Don't know.
It is actually pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's a rough one to go into your day with.
Yeah. I think that's where mine went wrong. Not necessarily wrong, because we're ending on a good note.
We're going to end on a good... Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's late in the afternoon. We're doing this. This is fun. I actually did get excited when I realized... So what irritated me, what made me it was irksome to me, was that I kept trying to do my work. We were at a coffee shop. And I kept trying to do my work. And then things kept interrupting me because what I wanted to do was edit our previous episode. Mm-hmm. And I was excited about doing that. Doing this with you does not feel like work to me. It actually feels exciting.
Feels like
convo. What?
It feels like a conversation. I said convo, but...
A conversation works too. But no, it does. It feels... I don't know. This just feels... like something I really love to do. So I was excited to do that and I couldn't do it. Don't worry, it's still coming out on time. You'll have already heard it by this episode. And so that was what kind of made me feel even a little bit better. When we got home, I was like, okay, I'm making the drinks. We're going to sit down. We're getting it done. We're going to be in it. It's going to be good. And then I was like, oh, wait, you know what? We're going to be in the thing that I actually love doing. Mm-hmm. So and then, I don't know, kind of helps a little bit. The dogs are here.
They are here. You cannot see them, but they are here.
They're snuggling. They're happy. They're sleeping. So.
Oh.
Maybe you will hear them. Might not see them, but you might hear them. Which is weird because they really don't make noise like that. They just want to be on the podcast.
Wait, one sec. Pause. You know that little bump on your head? It's showing. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
It's who I am.
Okay, just making sure, because you always tell me to tell you.
I know. I appreciate it, because I used to be really embarrassed of him. But I'm 30 years old.
Say it again.
I'm 30 years old. He's there. Imagine. We get famous. Okay? Mm-hmm. We go on red carpets. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, one day, this is in the tabloids. Larry Constance. Larry Constance Pickles. That's his name. Okay? Imagine he's in the tabloids. My little mole on my head. And then it's a scandal. And that's my big scandal. Cut it out now.
You'll live.
That's what I'm saying. If that... Literally, we're cutting to the chase. I have a mole on my head. His name is Larry Constance Pickles. You'll probably see him in some episodes. Probably right now in this one. That's fine.
You're welcome.
But But actually, yeah, I'm glad you said it because now he's out there. No scandal. He gets the fame too.
Okay. We're all in this.
We're all in it. Okay, so today we're talking about witchy things, right?
Spooky. Have
Which
you
is-
seen that guy who does
no.
that? Spooky.
No, I haven't.
I love it.
No, you have to show me him.
They're funny.
But today we're talking about witchy things, and I'll get into more what that means, but like specifically how the gays, and I use that as an umbrella term, the queers, especially sapphics, really be loving the witchy vibes. The occult, the witchcraft, astrology, obviously.
Like the whole idea of like the universe.
Spirituality versus like religion and things like that. You know, I feel like that's super queer, and it's like I think about it, I think of like queer culture, and one of the first things that you always comes up when you think about like what's something that is a marker when you think about visibility, right? Like what's something that's a marker? Because nowadays everybody likes to cop queer fashion. Everybody. And so it's not really about like, I mean, I guess there are some things like if you see a good wolf cut, you can if you see a bunch of carabiners, you can probably.
Carabiners.
What?
What are carabiners?
The thing I have on my keychain. That little blue thing that mountain climbers, how they hook themselves to their. You know what I'm talking about?
I didn't know that was called those.
That's called a carabiner.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see those a lot.
Yeah.
Lesbians?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
You've been in queer circles. You just didn't know it.
I just don't notice these things yet.
Yeah, you're not asking questions. It's okay. You're new here. But yeah, no, carabiners, very, very gay, very lesbian. I mean, queer, but very lesbian. What else? Yeah, so like things like that are like identifiably we can see them, right? But when we talk about then the culture, like when you see someone, if you're on a date, what's one of the first things that you know is going to be asked to you on like a sapphic date or like a queer date? I can really speak to the sapphic experience. I can't speak to like the gay man's experience as much. I can only go based on like what my friends and my sibling tells me and what I've seen, I guess. But yeah, at least within the sapphic community, like, oh yeah, if you're out one-on-one, one of the first questions you're getting asked is what's your sign? And not just your sign. If someone just asks you your sun sign, no.
They don't know what they're talking
They don't know what they're talking about. They're either brand new in this world and they know they're supposed to ask that. Or they're like they don't really care about it, but they know they're supposed to. And those, I don't know.
You said I know, but they're supposed to.
They're supposed to.
Do you feel like it's like a requisite?
At this point,
What? Then I fail.
I know. But once again, you're new.
What do you mean?
How many dates have you been on with women?
Okay. 0. Zed.
Zed?
1.
1. Let's be real.
A single one.
1. And that is it's a primo first and foremost question. What is your sign? And you don't have to necessarily like, here's how you can gauge how deep in like the queer culture someone is, the sapphic culture someone is, and not always, don't get at me for this, but it is a thing, is like if someone just says, what's your sun sign? And that's all they want to know. Okay. Very surface level. We're just like barely dipping our toes in here. If someone's like, give me your big 3. Okay. A big 3. That's like, it's like, okay, this is the average. Is like, what's your big 3? At least. Because I think most people don't know beyond that. They might know their chart and have it. They definitely have a co-star.
Oh my God, co-star.
They definitely have a co-star. Like you show each other your co-stars.
I'm dead. People still use it.
100%. I have it on my phone right now.
I have it too. I'm just wondering. I'm usually late to things, behind on the times, just making sure. I'm still cool. It's fine.
You acted like you don't even have one.
I do, of course.
No, yeah.
But I just don't remember it.
Yeah, you ask about co-star. Yeah, I mean, like you show each other your chart.
That's
If
cute.
you want to be really vulnerable, but like you at least say your big three. But if someone says, "What's your whole chart?" and like what house is your Aries in? Are you in, is your Neptune in the rising
Oh,
of? And
see?
you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, 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 whoa.
Wow.
That's a level I'm not even at.
Okay.
And I was raised in a family where this was really big
Oh.
before I even knew I was queer. I was raised in a family where like the astrology thing huge. My grandmother, as much as we are not connected, her and I, we do not see eye to eye ever. But I will say one of the things she did do, which was really cool, was for the whole family, and I have a big family. For the whole family, she got us all our entire birth charts,
Oh, wow.
astrological birth charts. She made it weird by then making us each sit with her and like have her read the whole packet because it's a whole thick packet. It's like a book. She like sat and
That's
like
intense.
said, "You can't have your birth chart unless you sit and have me read it to you." It was weird. I was
So
like,
slightly problematic, but very helpful.
so like this isn't really a gift. It's like, okay, but you know what? I did it, and that was its own challenge in doing that. But I did get my birth chart, and I went through and read it myself. It's very interesting. Like when you actually look through it, because they give you a breakdown, not just like here's the name of your planet and what the sign is in. It's like what this means because of the time you were born, the place you were born, what it means in terms of your thought process, your decision making, your which directions you lean in every aspect of your life, in finance, romance, internal development. Even when like seriously, even when you break it down into your own internal processing of how your events in your life have affected you. And they break that down. It's really so even though okay, so I like astrology. I do. And like I said, I was raised in it. So I'm very, very well aware of it. But even for me, I don't need to know more than your big three. That's good. That's it. That's good.
It gives me a good picture.
Right?
I mean, I ask, but do I know what that means? No. Will I look it up later just to clarify what you told me? Sure.
So you just ask people and then you like come up with a reaction based
And
like
I'm
just
like, oh, interesting. And we call it a day. We keep it moving because I did not get introduced to this type of stuff early on because my mom was like, that's the devil.
your
She was
mom
like,
would.
that is not what we do here. And then I didn't really start looking into like, well, the first interaction with something outside of like my religion was like Wiccan. I started looking up Wiccan stuff
Like
when
looking it up as in you wanted to be in it.
I
Like you
wanted
were
to be
practicing.
like I bought books. I was like looking for a coven. I was in it because I was like,
Did you find one?
no, I didn't. I mean, I found an online one, but they turned out to be really creepy. I'm pretty sure it was like a group of old men trying to like get at like a child. It's bad.
Ew.
But yeah, I know the internet was way too open to me at the time. Like when we were younger, like how unprotected the internet was crazy.
Ew, that's weird. How old were you?
I was like 11, 12.
You
It was
were
before high
looking
school.
up Wicca. Excuse me if I'm saying that wrong. You were looking up witchcraft at 11 or 12.
That's because it was right around the time, like I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, as you know.
Yes.
It was right around the time that religion completely failed me when I was like, they don't treat women like people. Or that's what I feel, okay? I don't know how people...
No, say it as it is. Say it as it is. Because you know what? Your experience is your experience. And other people, I also doubt there's going to be like a ton of Jehovah's Witnesses
I
listening
can't
to
imagine.
our podcast. Like I
can't
can't.
imagine.
And if you are, like shout out to you. We'd love your
Explore.
thoughts and your
Get
experience.
out.
But like,
No, I'm kidding.
but I just really doubt it. So
Yeah. No, but they were like, yeah. Once I realized that they weren't a big fan of women, women weren't meant to be like main characters, and I was like, I'm a main character. Don't even play me like that. So yeah, I started looking for something else because I was super religious. I was very in it. Like I very much so believed in it.
wait, I really okay. Wait,
For a
I knew
minute.
you were. I knew you were raised in the church, but I didn't.
Congregation.
I'm sorry. In the congregation. Wait, so they don't call it a church. It's called a congregation. Okay. So I knew you were raised in the congregation. But I didn't know that you were like in it for
I was
yourself.
sipping the Kool-Aid mad hard because I'm the type of person like, I don't know. I was struggling to fit in. I was struggling to feel like loved by my family because my family was very like not emotionally supportive. So it was like I was lacking in that area, but I always felt like God loves me. God or Jehovah at the time. Jehovah loves me. And like for me kind of thing. And feeling weird in my body, feeling uncomfortable. I was like, somebody has to like this. I don't right now. But I was like, somebody has to love this. And I was told Jehovah did. And also the Bible's parables really got me. The stories, like, they really got me.
Everybody be loving the parables.
I think even though I'm not religious now, I will be sharing them with my children. I really do. I really think it taught me a lot of morals.
Please elaborate.
Like, I'm not saying, like, I mean, do I even remember most of them? Probably not. But, like, this idea of, like, perseverance came from, like, Job's story.
Job was the one that...
God was like, a bet.
I was raised in the church. Different. Shout out to Methodists. We had Hawaiian sweetbread and grape juice for communion.
Oh, wow. That's cute.
Because Jesus was cool for the Methodists. And they just really like potlucks. They really love a potluck. They're like, come hear about how God is really great. And we're all like, Hosanna, hey, Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. And then we all go down to the congregation hall and we, fellowship hall, I'm sorry, and we just have a big potluck. It's great. But anyway, wait, what was I saying before this? What were you saying?
Shit. God dang it.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. So we were saying about Jehovah's Witnesses and...
The Bible, Job.
Job. Okay, so Job is the one where his life was really hard. Mm-hmm. And God put him through all of these trials, right?
Hell, for a bet. Like, it was dead as a bet.
It was a bet?
It was like Satan was like, I will turn your biggest believer into a hater? I don't know what else to say. These are not biblical terms.
Sacrilegious miscreant?
People
I don't know.
hate you.
I will turn him against you. That's why. Okay, so I remember the king one, the King Solomon. Mm-hmm. I always think of like King Salamander, but it's actually King Solomon.
That's pretty cute.
And like he cuts a baby. Well, it doesn't cut a baby in half, but he like threatens to.
He threatens to. Yeah.
Like I remember some of them, but I feel like that's interesting to me. So, what I think is really interesting is this idea that as LGBTQ plus people, as queer people, right? Religion, not our friend usually. Mm-hmm. In general, religion, not our friend. But you have a large group of people that are still then really involved in religion. Mm-hmm. That religion is still very close to their heart. And you have like queer safe churches. Like, and I'm speaking Christianity. Mm-hmm. I don't know much about religions outside of Christianity. If there are even churches that not churches, I guess it would be different names for different mosques or congregations or... Like yeah, but like, I don't know how far that spreads.
That's true.
But I know that at least within Christianity, you have churches that queer people are like, they're running it. Mm-hmm. They're the pastors. They're, and I think that's very interesting because you have that whole crew. Then you have the group of queers who are like, I'm spiritual. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where I fall, where it's like, I am not religious. I do not. And, bless my mother. Because she was the one who took us to church until I was like 17 years old. I had to go religiously every day. I mean, every Sunday.
Every day?
Not every day.
Where did you go to school?
At the church. No, every Sunday. We had to do youth group. We had to do mission trips. I went and built people's houses. I we had to do the 30-hour famine.
I'm sorry?
Did I tell you about the 30-hour famine?
No. It sounds like you starved yourself for 30 hours.
You would be correct. So we had to it was once a year we did this thing where I can't remember why. Jesus must have not eaten for 30 days and 30 nights or something like that. I can't remember, like 30 hours. I can't remember. But basically, it was a bunch of kids. We were young. I was like 12, 13. Oh, no. And they would put us all in this big, huge church's fellowship hall with a bunch of sleeping bags. It looked honestly like a shelter. Like a bomb shelter where we were all just like in sleeping bags. Mm-hmm. And we fasted, starved for 30 hours.
Wow.
And we were only allowed to have like water.
Nope.
And then what we would do is, it wasn't even like we were just sitting there. We would go and have to do activities. Like some people went and did sandwich ministry where they would make sandwiches while they're fasting.
Torturing themselves.
13-year-olds make sandwiches and then go deliver it to the unhoused. Okay. And then I was always like, over my dead body, am I going to be making sandwiches and not allowed to eat one? So I always then went and chose, which once again, wild to me. I chose to do like the mentor one where you would go and you had different options of what you could do. And I chose the mentor one where I went and was some kind of mentor. We didn't really do much. We just essentially assisted a daycare for young kids that have intellectual disabilities. While we're like 13 years old and we're fasting, we've had not eaten. And you do it for a whole day. And then you go to sleep, and the next morning you get up, and with your church you go back and you have a meal on the way back to your church. And then everyone of course gets sick because everyone's starving, so they eat a ton. And even though they tell us eat only a little bit, it's 13-year-olds.
You're setting us up for failure.
Be for fucking real. Like, grow up. We're children. What are you doing? And I thought that was wild. But yeah, things like that. I had to do that till I was like 17, all the church stuff. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I even had to get confirmed. All of that. I lied. Jesus is not my savior. I'm so sorry. But, and my brother was honest about it. When my brother had to go through it, my brother was like, Mom, I'm not going to be confirmed. My mom was like, go through the process. If you still feel that way at the end, then fine. Okay, you can say it. He did it. And then he was like, at the end, when they said, okay, do you choose to get confirmed or not? He was like, no, I'm not. He was honest about it. The youngest ones really get to do what they want.
I mean, yeah.
But yeah, so like, after all that, I was like, I'm good off religion. That did not serve me. I did not feel like my real self there. I felt like I had to be this mannequin version of myself. And what was weird is that my church was even a little bit less like overtly strict or what's the word I'm looking for? Homophobic. Like they were even pretty chill about that. And I still didn't feel like I was really able to be myself. So I believe that there's some level of, I don't know, universe, higher being, something beyond just our physical bodies, right? Call it my Aquarius sun.
Ooh, dropping that bomb.
No. So that's that camp of people. And then you have the people who are like, I don't believe in anything. And they're just like, no, I think we live this life and that's it.
Yeah, we're just kind of here. No.
And is that where you fall?
No, I'm definitely more spiritual.
Okay.
I believe that there's something that connects us all. And that's what grounds me.
Ooh.
Right now, I'm a bit disconnected from my spirituality, but when I am connected, I just feel very whole and very, like, held.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever talked about your spirituality.
No, because I'm not, like, unstable, but I wouldn't say I'm the most stable I've been. When I'm stable, I'm spiritual. I would do my, like, tarot deck every morning, like, the card, meditation, I'm doing grounding, even if it's, like, winter, I'm going out, putting my feet in some grass or something, and it just, like, it's very calming, and, yeah, it's helpful, but when times are rough, I find it really hard to get into. But, yeah, I find that, like, part of what really got me off of the church religion stuff was the inauthenticity, which like there's like this air of like everybody like has to be holy and people like to pretend that they are, and it's just not realistic, like especially as Jehovah's Witness. I remember there was this couple and they had a family actually, so there was children involved, but there was this man who was like clearly beating his wife, like everybody in the congregation knew it. And they would come, they would sit at the congregation and just like just be a part of the congregation. And you could see him like yelling at her. You could see him like grabbing her arm, all this stuff.
Oh, he was open about it.
Very. And everyone would like shake his hand after. People would be like, thank you for coming, brother, because they call us like brother or sister or whatever. And then at some point they actually sat her down at the end of a meeting and were like, he's a good man. Like he's struggling right now. Like, just give him some time and, like, you know, like, be a good wife. But they were telling her to, like, stick by him. And I just remember being like, that's not what, like, you guys preach. That's not, like, what you guys have said we're about. Like, you know, I know they had this, like, I don't want to say perverse, but they had this idea of, like, what a family unit was supposed to be like. Yeah, they didn't preach that you were supposed to, like, get beat by your husband and just accept it. That was never a story that we were told.
Good.
I'm just saying, like, that like, it just felt so off from the message they had been trying to preach to us. And I was like, that's not real. You guys are, like, this is fake.
Yeah.
This, like, you say you believe in something that's not.
You don't practice.
You don't actually practice. And, like, if you don't practice it, do you actually believe it? And why would I believe it if you don't even believe it? Why am I listening to your ass when you're a dumbass? No,
And you're right, though.
when you don't know what you're talking about. And I realized also that I never really felt a connection to the religion. Like, that was somebody's version of how they connected to whatever's above us, whatever big picture there is. But I never felt connected using those tools that, like, a Jehovah's Witness uses to connect. So, yeah, I was like, fuck that. I'm looking for something else. First, it was Wiccan, which, again, my mom was like, that's the devil. Don't bring that into my house.
Of course, I imagine that's, like, kind of a 180.
Yeah. But then I pretty much dropped religion, spirituality, all of that for a while. And then in college, when I was on the soccer team, we went on, like, a trip to one of our games, and there was, like, this coffee shop with, like, books everywhere, and there was this one book of, like, birthdays, I don't know, and it was, like, your specific birthday, birth year, and all that, like, and it had, like, titles for what you were supposed to be, and mine was, like, the day of the entertainer.
Ooh la la.
And I remember, like, reading through it and being like, this is who I want to be. Like, I feel like this is who I'm supposed to be. And I felt connected to that, like, that description of whatever, and of whatever, the description of that. And it was like, boom, right then I was like, I want to get connected again. I want to, like, figure this shit out again. So I bought my first tarot deck, and that was that. But definitely spiritual, not religious at all.
You know what always got me about the religion? I was thinking about it when you were talking about kind of the fakeness. What always got me was the sex part of it.
Ooh.
Okay,
No
listen,
kidding.
meaning.
What do you mean?
You know how okay, so my thing was this. You know how they always preach, you don't have sex until marriage, and when you do, and depending on your denomination, your religion, it's either you don't have sex till marriage, that's pretty across the blanket, but then it's either you only have sex for procreation in some, or it's once you're married, then you can have sex. And then some of them are like, don't use protection, some of them are like, you know what I mean, like all the different weird little rules, but all of it is like, don't have sex till marriage. I from the time I was young, okay, and I didn't have sex till I was like 19, okay, but from the time I was young, I knew they were lying. I knew the pastor up there at the front, there was no way in hell that he waited till marriage. Absolutely not. He's lying. They're all lying. All the adults sitting in the pew, everyone, my parents, everybody. I was like, you all are liars. None of you waited till marriage.
The amount of, like, what are they called? Shotgun weddings? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
When you, like, you're about to have a baby, so then you quickly get married.
So
that
it looks like...
So the timeline doesn't look too off. That happened a lot in my mom's, because my mom was Pentecostal, so her church, that happened a lot. I remember that.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like, they're all liars. And I was like, y'all just don't want us to have a good time. We're just trying to have a good time. I will give my mom this. For as religious of a woman as she is, she was always really chill about that. She was always like, listen, I remember when I was like 15, she came to me and she was like, listen, you're a teenager, okay? You're going to go to parties. You're going to drink. You're going to do drugs. You're probably going to have sex. She was like, I don't want you to be afraid to tell me about things. Whatever you need. You don't have to, like, go into details, but whatever you need, I just want you to be safe. She's like, if you need condoms, tell me, I'll get them for you. If you are at a party and you're drinking, do not get in the car with anybody. If you want to come home, I will come pick you up. Even if you want me to, like, park around the corner and you can walk to me so no one knows that your mom's picking you up. She was really like,
that's really cool.
You're not in trouble. I just want you to be safe. Which, A+ for Amy, because I think that's A+ parenting personally.
I think so, yeah.
And I always appreciate it. And then, but then I was really upset because then she took all the taboo away.
Because it wasn't fun anymore.
And then I was like, well, damn, now I don't want to care. And so then I didn't do anything. I didn't do drugs. I didn't drink. And I didn't have sex until after I was outside high school living on my own. Mind you, I moved out at 18. So it was like swiftly. But
Pretty quick.
but I was like, oh, okay. This is chill then. It's not a big deal. So this was a side tangent. But my point is that the sex thing in the church always, like, that hypocrisy always really killed me. And I feel like that's one of the reasons that I hear so frequently. I'm sure there are plenty of other reasons, but that's one of the reasons I hear so frequently from queer folks when they're talking about how it's like, yeah, no, I lean towards something that's like Wiccan or even, oh my God, there was this church I heard about, and I could be deeply off.
Okay, we're ready.
This might be wildly ignorant, but I did hear about this church that was like Satan's church.
Oh.
Where no,
Okay.
no, really, and
Mom, don't listen.
I do not have. I don't have
I'm
all
kidding.
the data to back this, so I'm putting that out there now. But I did hear about this Satan's church where it sounds like, oh, it's Satan's church, ooh. But then you look at like what they stand for, and it's like women's rights, consent, being, what is it, like they do a lot with like either finances or like making sure that like you're financially literate and like random things like that, where it's like just actually being a cool person. But they called it like Satan's church, and that was really funny to me. But no one would go and find that. Like the only people that were really involved were like either these anarchists that were like down with religion. We're calling
like,
this
Satan? Okay.
yeah. Or you have like queer people, and I feel like this is an extreme example, but I'm talking about like that was I'm saying. But I feel like a lot of times you hear queer people being like, religion is, there's so much about it that not only erases my existence, but then also whenever, even if I were involved, there's so much that's just so hypocritical, even just for anyone involved. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so then you find a lot of people go into things that make more sense to them, where they're like, even with something like tarot, right? There is such a deep element of spirituality to tarot. I love getting my tarot read, but it really depends on who the person is as to how powerful I feel the reading is in my life.
Yeah. And I think something that drew me to spirituality was the like subjectivity of like how you can go about it. Like there's not one size fits all. Like the religion part of it was so strict and like rigid, and my neurodivergent brain was like, what the fuck is this? I don't know. But yeah, with like there were just no rules. It was just like feel connected, figure it out. Like
Feel connected, scary, be a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like realize that you're connected to everyone, like in some way, shape, or form. Like, which is a beautiful way to think about it. But I think that's what attracted me to it, because I realized that I was not fitting into the categories of like male or female or whatever. Also at the time I thought I was like asexual, so I was like, I'm not fitting into the the like sexual thing that other people are doing.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So yeah, just the idea that you get to make it your own and be your own thing. I feel like that could be an attractive part of it.
Yeah, I think it's also, I want to get your take on this, because my thought has also been, when I come from more of an activist view on it, it's also the idea of using deviance and the word, so like the stigma around the idea of deviance, using that as something to take back power and something to say, to reclaim that you're calling me deviant because you don't understand me. But you know who does understand me? All of the other weirdos. All of the other people that you deem to be off, odd, wrong, extreme. They get me. And so it's this kind of like, it turns into almost theater of, not for everyone obviously, but I'm saying like, there's part of it that easily becomes this protest of saying, I am going to be everything that makes you uncomfortable, because the more I do this, the louder I am in this space, the less you can erase me. and ignore me. And I think, given everything that's going on right now, I think is a huge, important energy that we as a whole group of people need to use. We need to amplify it. And this is not so much just in like the spirituality realm, but I mean in terms of using that energy, using that idea of I'm going to be so radically myself, so radically visible. And I'm not alone. And we are all going to be so radically visible that there's nothing you can do to stop us. And it's so scary and dangerous to do that.
It is. And it also makes you like vulnerable to a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't ever blame people, and I do deeply understand where people are coming from when they're talking about either just rejecting the idea of spirituality or religion or anything, and they're like, no, I don't do that witch shit either. Because they're like, no. I'm just living a, quote, normal life, right? Like, I'm just going to be, and then there's this idea of like blending, which I do understand, but it, at the same time, it depends on the time frame, the time period you're in, that like what's going on around you in your environment. Because in some environments, that's your only option if you want to live. And that's valid, right? But in other environments, if there's that right community there that all work together, saying something can actually be the difference. But it just is so dependent, and it's a risk. It's a risk to do it.
It is.
I don't know how we got here, sorry. No, this is a lot's been on my mind. This is why today has been so poopy. Not just today, but like in general right now. Just because like honestly everything is so heavy. I cannot turn on Instagram. I'm 85. I cannot open Instagram for more than like 20 minutes a day. I'm exhausted. And I'm not saying it in a way where the problem is like I can't not look at it. We don't have the luxury of not looking at it. We don't. We have to stay informed. We have to put things out there. We have to find out what's going on and which ways we can support in who's safe and who's not. You know,
even with our job, we have to think about the people we're working with and like the safety of our jobs even sometimes. Yeah,
day one I thought that was getting cut.
Yeah.
Because he almost cut all, like, I don't know if it's still going to, I literally don't understand what's happening. I keep trying to understand, but like, is he cutting the funding for federal funding? Is he not? When is it going to affect? I don't know. But if he does, our job, we don't have a job.
Yeah.
So please love us. Please support us.
We need you.
We need you. But yeah, and so I think just all that's been heavy on, obviously, I know you too, but I'm saying like that's, I think, how we got here.
Yeah.
So if we bring it back to like the witchy shit of it all, there is this underlying, I think there's so much history. You can't be culturally involved with queerness, including, and I'm saying that even with like transness, because they are separate categories, but we're all in the same boat. We're all part of family. Like we all have to stand for family. You know what I mean? And so you can't be involved with like queer culture and not have your history right there with everything that you do. Everything that we do is because of our history. And it sometimes is exhausting to feel so radical all of the time with everything that you do. Even just something as simple as being visible and walking around, like, for example, I think we talked about it before where it's like, I know that I am not, quote, visibly queer when I just walk around alone. I know that I am someone who looks traditionally feminine, traditionally heterosexual. But when I walk around with my partner, with me and Jamelia walk around, and it's clear that we're together, I'm holding her hand, I'm visibly queer. And even something like that, where it's this simple joy that I love so much, but it feels like a radical movement. And maybe that's me being dramatic, but
No,
but I don't.
think so.
it sits with me like that all of the time. And so it's like even the small things that you shouldn't even have to think about, holding your partner's hand or deciding what to wear, how you present yourself, right? That should just be how you choose to do your life. But when every single thing that you do is radical or radicalized in terms of what it represents, and you become this voice, right? It's exhausting. It's exhausting. And so I get then why the queers are so into like making things fashion, because then you can take some of it that even though it is a powerful experience and you are doing something that is going to make waves just by existing. If you can focus on it being fashion, darling, then then it's more fun and it feels less heavy. Right? And I think I'm bringing this back, I promise there's a point. So when I think of like the witchiness, the astrology that we laugh about, the tarot readings that we laugh about, these are things that have just become like, oh yeah, she's sapphic if she asks for your big three. Yes, and we laugh about it. But it's now kind of become, and it is funny, don't get me wrong. It is funny. because I would be damned if I dated a Pisces. I could not.
Damn.
I could not do it. I could not do it. And I love a Pisces, but not to date. But my point is that even something as silly and simple as that, its roots come from this idea of being and feeling authentically connected to something that was considered deviant. And finding community in that.
I feel like that's something that like has come up in so many ways when I think about like you were talking about history and stuff like that. I'm thinking about how, and this is not directly related, but like there was the disability movement in New York before the ADA was created, and there was this image of like they were doing a stand-in or a sit-in or a sleep-in in this building, and there was this image of the Black Panthers handing out food to the people who were disabled. Like, I think just because you're pushed out or othered, there's just this like sense of like we're all out here. We're all like kind of like being told we don't belong, but like when you get together, we belong together. Like this
100%.
this is our like we are kind of in this together, even if it's not for the same reasons. And then also, I was thinking about something you said. This idea that it's radical to just like exist and be visible. There's this quote like "My existence is my resistance," which I do love that quote.
I love that one.
But also sometimes it like when you think about it, it's this idea that you're resisting something. So there's always this pressure.
Yes.
There's always this something that's fighting you, and that's like what you're saying. That's the exhausting part. But it's also like, yeah, like I still fucking exist.
I think, so I guess when I think about this in terms of like, what's the question here? So when we're thinking about how this connects to then advice, like what's the point here of how can this be useful? We know that it feels exhausting sometimes, often, and other times it feels liberating, right? Like there's both parts of that.
It's both that.
It's both and, yes, and then you have the other part of it that's like, yeah, we already know that sapphics carry on carabiners and everyone asks you for your astrological sign. Yeah, we know that. Okay, cool. These are just things that we know, right? But in terms of how's this useful? It's useful by remembering that if you're able to acknowledge what's going on, like a lot of times, if you don't have the knowledge of why am I so exhausted every day? Why do I feel like it's such a exhausting task to go get my coffee, to go get dressed and go get my coffee outside? If you have the knowledge of being like, oh wow, my existence is being looked at as something that has the potential to be, I guess, divisive, then yeah, that's draining. So if you have that knowledge, then being able to say, I get why all this is going on. You have the self-awareness of it now. And now you're able to say, okay, what's the fashion, baby? What's fun? And really not get down on yourself for just having some fun. Like if you want to be if you want to be that girl who's like, I'm going to know every single sapphic movie that has ever existed. I'm going to know all of the characters and even the ones that like never even made it out of Sundance. Right? I'm going to know all of them. And I'm not going to date people that don't get me on that level. Now, is this extreme? Yeah. But actually, probably not even that extreme. There's probably actually a lot of people out there like that. But if that's your fashion, if that's what makes you happy, if that's something that gives you energy, when so much of it is regularly taken just from existing, do it. Just let yourself be the bubblegum girly that you want to be. And this is like non-gendered. Anyone can be a bubblegum girly. Just enjoy it. Like if you find joy in something, live joy in something. It's so important if we're going to find ourselves and become the most powerful and free. If you find your fashion, live in it. And I don't mean just clothes. I mean like if you find things that just make you happy, regardless of it, not everything has to be so serious for you. If you know, as long as you know your roots and you know what's going on, you know why it's going on, just have fun. Like find the things that allow you to feel freedom and do it. And you were saying, and I was saying, because that's how you actually get to a place of being the most powerful and authentic and free in yourself. And you were saying there's also that need for recharge.
Yeah, for respite. Yeah, there's a need for respite because as much as it is powerful to like stand in your truth and show that off, I feel like sometimes it's nice to be appreciated for it as well. So as much as like it's okay to like you said, be that bubblegum girly in spaces where they might be like, what the fuck is that? That's perfectly fine. But also remembering to try and enter those spaces where they'll be like, damn, girly, that is it. That is the one. It's like a mixture of both. And maybe, yeah, I think, yeah, this idea of community keeps coming up. I don't know.
Do you ever find it really challenging? Okay. How do you feel about this? Because I have an experience where I'll go into any situation and I always have an expectation off the bat that like I'm either going to be the only queer person there or the only like loud person there that's open, right? Or I'm going to be in some way, shape, or form unique and no one else is really going to be like, oh yeah, I feel you. You know what I mean? And there's part of that I feel a lot of pride in and that I find that I end up enjoying because I'm unique and different and ooh la la and ooh, you know, but then what happens is I end up feeling very without, obviously, like without community. And I want what you're saying, like that recognition, that things that I don't have to explain, like I don't have to, you know, so many straight people that I talk to find the way that I speak hilarious. And I'm like, I am just not this funny in queer circles. I'm actually not that funny. But they really be laughing when I'm like, honey, yes, I love it. And that's just how I say things. That's just how I'm like, yes, baby, I live for this. But they think it's so funny. Like I'm joking. I'm like, what?
In all seriousness.
In all seriousness. No.
Go off.
Correct. And it's very like, and then I end up having to either explain or feel like this fun, shiny toy for them, which don't get me wrong, I love to be the entertainment, darling, but it is different than when I go into queer spaces and I say that and they're like, and they respond with a good, like, you know, yes, and as it should be, because that's how I expect you to respond. You know what I mean? So then I guess the question I'm asking is, so sometimes when I'm in these spaces, I feel good being the unique only one. And I feel power in that because I trust in myself to be able to be proper representation, you know, and be open about what I don't know and say, you should talk to people who know that better. But then I have that feeling of missing community and feeling like I don't always want to be the only one. You feel lonely.
Yeah.
And then when I go into spaces where I'm not the only one, I'm like, damn, I am just so unmemorable. I am just, wow, how can I stand out here? And I mean, I guess that's a personal self-esteem building kind of thing, which I wouldn't say that I have low self-esteem. I would say I'm pretty solid.
Yeah.
I would say I'm pretty solid on that. But I noticed that for myself. And that's something that like I continue to work on is that recognition of, listen, you're in a space with a bunch of other people that can really appreciate what you bring to the table. Don't be bummed out because you're not being tokenized.
I feel like it's almost because we're so used to fighting. Like, so used to having to, like, it's almost like it's not because it's comfortable, it's because it's the norm. Like, or it feels like the norm. I think about how I, like, always I chose to go to a really preppy boarding school. Not because I was preppy, but because I knew that I would be this, like, alt-looking, like, whatever. I guess I was queer-looking and I didn't even know it. But person who, like, I almost felt like I could figure myself out a bit more because I didn't have anybody else to compare myself to, like, in my realm. Like, y'all weren't in the same lane. You can't even compete where you don't compare. Compare where you don't compete. Which one is it? You don't compare.
You can't compete where you don't compare.
You can't compete where you don't compare. Okay? And so that was empowering, but it was also like when we had like events, like a dance or something, and I was the only one wearing like tulle and like mesh shirts or something like that. That felt very suffocating and like very like I was lost, like not lost, but like completely out of place.
Wait, you can't compare when you don't compete.
No, I think that
You can't compete when you
can't compare. You can't compete when you don't compare. Wait.
You can't compare when you don't compete. When you don't compete.
Okay,
I think
you
that's
can't
it.
compare when you don't compete.
We got there.
Eventually.
We got there. I'm sorry. I had to go. It was running through my brain. It was flowing out of me. Okay,
It's
sorry.
gonna happen. It's fine.
I got it though. The tool, you were different. You were wearing the mesh, and it was like, you don't even know what this is.
Yeah, my point is, I get that there's like a sort of comfort in like knowing you don't fit in a way.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a uniqueness to it that you end up feeling proud of. Because you know no one could do what you do.
yeah.
And then you show up to spaces where they do what you do.
Yeah.
And they do it in their own way. And then you have to start relying on your personality.
Yeah, just be you. Like, they look at you, not just like what's different about you.
Yeah. Well, what's different about you becomes not your sexuality or your gender. What's different about you becomes your personality, becomes your interests, becomes your skills, your talents.
Authentic you, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I always say it's so important to have. We always say, not just me, but like I'm saying, that's why we know that community is so important, is because when you're around people that aren't just seeing surface level you, that's the only way you're really going to be able to then build the deeper layers, like all the different floors that are hidden way underground. You got a tunnel to them, and you can find each one. You can find the little staircases. It's like a whole maze down there, but you've got to go level by level by level, and you're going to be more and more uncomfortable at first when you're going down these levels, because you're realizing that it's going to require more and more vulnerability, authenticity, honesty, and more self-reflection.
More awareness.
You know?
Yeah.
So my point is, if we're going to exist in the way that we just are, right? If we're going to be looked at publicly as othered, right? As others, as different, if it's going to feel like energy is being taken from you for existing, one, find your fashion, enjoy it, have fun with the silly things, understand why the silly things are actually deeply important. Okay? Two, as uncomfortable as it can be, I encourage you, find the people that start to ask you questions about why you're different beyond just your identity markers. Find the people that actually want to know, wait, are you like a surfer? Are you good at it? Wait, do you live by a beach? Did you grow up by the beach? What? Like the things that you can do, the things that you love. You know what I mean? Find the people who are like, what are your passions? Instead of, oh, wait, so what are pronouns? What are, so you're black. Got it. What's that like? You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I'm dead.
Like, find people, and it will be uncomfortable at first. It
Yeah.
will be. You're uncomfortable.
Because it makes you vulnerable. Like, it's a vulnerability. Like,
How
I feel
uncomfortable
like
did you feel when we first met?
I was like, what? It felt like you see me and you kept seeing me, and I was like, wait, hold on, let me try and put this wall up, but it didn't work. You were like, bang, 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 fuck that shit.
I'm nosy.
But yeah, I'm wondering if like being in those like those places where norms are upheld, it's like a wall. It's like people don't really get to know you because they like all they see is the outside.
There's always a distance that I feel from non-queer people, even the people
Yeah.
that I love, even my friends that are not queer that I love so much, and I do think they really know me. But there is a level that they won't get. There's a certain level, no matter how small it may be, is someone could really, really know. I'm not saying you can't have close friendships with your straight friends, but
Well, no.
but what I am saying is like there is going to, when you start to have a bigger and bigger queer basis and community, you do start to see more and more clearly those small spaces, and sometimes they're bigger, but the spaces where people outside of your community are those gaps they're not able to bridge. So finding that community is so important. If you really want to get to know yourself, find your nosy crew that actually just really want to know you. How did this start with witches?
I don't know. We went off track.
But we got there.
Yeah.
That's the point.
The point is, we did it.
I don't think I have more to say on that. I think that's enough to digest. That's digestible. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming back if you're a returning
If
listener.
you're a returner, thanks. Keep posted and keep listening.
Yes. And if you have any ideas for things you want us to talk about or any like musings you have about your own personal life, all that stuff, even if it's messy, send it to us via email or even DM. I think we can open
You
up the
could do,
DMs.
yeah. Send it via DM, send it via email, whatever you're more comfortable with. Let us know. We'll talk about it. We're happy to. We can't wait, actually.
We actually are eager to get those messages.
Like, truly. Because we want to hear from you. So stay safe, stay energized,
Find your joy.
find your joy, find the silly things. And we will see you next time. Bye.